My name is Lulu. I'm a compulsive overeater, and I am from Boston, Massachusetts. And the step work as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is it's the most amazing process. It did amazing things for my life. It completely transformed the way I live, the way I think, the way I eat. All in peace and freedom and joy. And I invite everybody to take these steps. Basically, it's work. It's work. And so you have to work for it. You don't just this isn't just like a free ride, you know? So we need to take steps 1 through 12. And this arch really demonstrates, it demonstrates the process of like building this arch on a foundation that we walk through a free woman or man. So if you look at this diagram, first we're going to go through the diagram, and then we'll go through the references in the Big Book that actually paint this picture all throughout the Big Book. This is not something that was just designed like out of the blue. So a foundation, the definition of a foundation, it's the load-bearing part of a structure. So we all know a foundation of a house, the load-bearing part of the structure. That is going to hold the entire house. It means everything. No cracks, no cracks. Just like we talked about in the Step It Up group on this past Tuesday, is that that rock solid step 1. This is an illustration of what a rock solid step 1. My step 1 has to have no cracks, no cracks. And that's going to hold the whole structure up. And what's the structure? The structure is my recovery. A cornerstone, the definition of a cornerstone, as you can see is in reference in this arch, is step 2. And that is just having just belief in this process, to have a belief in this process that there is a power greater than me that can actually make me walk on that green path to freedom. And what a cornerstone is, when you hear about a cornerstone in construction, it's the first stone set. It's very important since all other stones will be set in reference to this stone. It determines the position of the entire structure. So can you feel that? Can you feel that importance of that cornerstone, that stone being placed right where it needs to be? Because everything is going to be built in reference to the stone. So I have the rock solid foundation, which is my step 1. My step 2 sits right on top of that rock solid step 1, which means I am powerless over food. My life is unmanageable. And I believe that since my problem is powerlessness, my solution is power, then I need to come to believe that a power greater than myself, notice there's no mention of God here just yet, okay, can restore me to sanity. So this is going to just determine the structure and position of this arch that we're going to build. And then a keystone, if you ever hear of a keystone in construction, that's the final piece, and it locks all the stones into position. So you can see step 3 in that, that you can see how that keystone right there at the very top of the arch is really locking everything into position. So if that gets shaky, that falls down, okay? So that's just step 3. And steps 4, 5, 6, 7, that's how we get right with God, because 4 and 5 is all about me in relation to God. 6 and 7 is all about me and my character defects. That's between me and God. And then 8, 9, 10, 11 is where I get right with others. 8 and 9 is my amends process. 10 is where I always make sure I'm cleaning up every day. Clean up, clean up, clean up. Thoughts, deeds, actions, clean up, clean up. That's how I get right with others. Step 11 is enlarging my spiritual life, continuing on enlarging my spiritual life, that really helps me get right with others. And then step 12, helping others, is also part of the foundation, because right now, Shalece and I work our step 12 like our pants are on fire. That's what this whole recording is about right now. That's what the whole Step It Up program is about right now. That's what all my sponsoring is about right now. It's my foundation. And also coupled with my rock solid step 1, it just holds everything up. It holds everything up. But things can still crumble on top of it. So I got to keep things right with God, keep things right with others. And so now this is and then what happens when this whole arch is in place? There's my path to freedom. If you read the promises of the program, they're in the, I forget exactly what page they're on, but they're in the middle of step 9. That's that path to freedom. That's when you start going like, yeah, man, I am free. I am free of my powerless. I'm free over my addiction. I'm free. I'm in a position of neutrality with food. I get along with people. I can understand people better. I understand the things that I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's being on a path to freedom. When that serenity prayer, that's serenity. Freedom is serenity. So now this arch, references to this arch are all throughout the big book. Shalece, would you like to refer to some of these, the references to the arch? If
I would love to.
Yeah, so I invite everybody to get your big book out and actually find these in the big book. If you have your big book handy, grab it.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn to page 12, and this is in the middle of Bill's story. And as you go through the steps, as we go through the steps, we will share a podcast later on that goes through in detail about Bill's story. But just a little background, Bill is an alcoholic, really struggles, and it goes, this whole story kind of tells where he was, what happened, and then how he got out of it. And a very important part for him was he tried several different things. Nothing was getting him out of the hell of alcoholism. And he had a friend call him that used to be a drinking buddy, and his name is Ebby Thatcher. And Ebby asked if he could come and see Bill. So he came and he saw Bill and asked if he could share some thoughts with him. And he's like, well, sure, go ahead. Why not? And then we'll have a drink later on, right? So Ebby was there, and he noticed just a total and complete change of this guy. This used to be somebody that was in the depths of alcohol as well. And he just saw this change, and he's like, what's going on? And Ebby just said, I've got religion. But that's just a little background. But he shared the principles of this arch with Bill in detail, and got him thinking about a willingness and how God could help him to relieve the alcoholism. And then, okay, down on page 12, near the bottom, it says, upon a foundation of complete willingness, I might build what I saw in my friend. Would I have it? Of course I would. And I have written arch step 2, I had to have complete willingness to believe that there was a power greater than myself that could restore me to sanity. And in this process, new thoughts and new understanding. And if I've got to have a willingness to believe in a power greater than myself. And I will pass with that one. Lulu, you want to take the next one?
Oh, okay.
Or add anything to that you
what I do
like.
What I do invite everybody to do is, as we point out each of these in the big book, if you could highlight the sentence that refers to the reference on the arch. And I did this, and then I just wrote the word arch out in the out next to it, just so I know that this was a reference about the arch. So upon the foundation, we're talking about a foundation of complete willingness, and that's the willingness to put the food down too, and seeing what the problem is. So the next one is on page 17, 17. So, so this is the page where they're talking about the fellowship, and you know, we're like passengers of a great line of the moment, the rescue, the shipwreck, the camaraderie, the joys. This doesn't matter who you are. You're all going down in a shipwreck. It's like you have this, you know, it's like we're all sharing in a common peril, and that is food addiction. And so if you look at the next reference, it's on page 17. It's towards the bottom of that middle paragraph. It says the feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. It's just another reference towards building. It's just building materials, building cement. Okay, so we're building something here, and part of it is the fellowship as well, in all of the members. So if you want to just highlight that sentence and just write arch on the margin, that would be wonderful. And it will be a reference in your big book for when you may be showing somebody else this, and trying to find those references yourself. Okay, want to take the next one?
Absolutely. Okay, so the next one is on page 47, and it's in the middle, middle of the page, in the middle of the paragraph. It says, as soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way. It has been repeatedly proven among us that upon this simple cornerstone, a wonderfully effective spiritual structure can be built. Okay, so that is a belief. And in the margin, I just wrote step 2, arch. So this step 2 has got to be, the steps are laid out in perfect order. I've got to have my understanding, the foundation, the willingness to believe that I've got this disease going on, that I am powerless over food, that my life has become unmanageable. That's got to be laid first. And then I've got to be willing to believe that there is a power greater than myself. That's got to go right next. Okay, I don't need to know what that power is. I don't even need to name it right now, but it's okay. I'm powerless over this. There's got to be a power greater than me that can restore me to sanity here. So this is arch step 2. All right.
Excellent. Okay, so now if you could turn to page 56. And this is the story in We Agnostics about the minister's son. You know, he was confined to a hospital. That was like that night he was at the hospital. A great thought came. It crowded out all else. Who are you to say there is no God? And then he recounts tumbling out of bed to his knees, and he was overwhelmed. That was kind of like your white light experience. I didn't have a white light experience. I was of the educational variety, and it came slowly for me, but it came clearly and effectively for me as I built this structure. I did the work to build this structure. So now he's just saying, like, when this happened to him, so now the bottom paragraph, thus was our friend's cornerstone fixed in place. That's just right there. That's when his cornerstone was, that was when everything was going to be set. The rest of his step work was going to be in reference to right this moment. It was going to be that reference. And for him, it was very strong. But you know something, even I've come to see that even when my belief was a little, it wasn't clearly defined, it wasn't a white light moment, it was that willingness. I had that willingness, that foundation, that's coupled with the belief. I had a willingness to believe. So my willingness was like so powerful. And that was my faith at that moment. Okay, that's what I got.
Okay, the next one is on page 62, and it's at the bottom of page 62. Okay, starting it. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is our principal. We are his agents. He is the Father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. So this is so beautiful. This is what holds the entire structure up and holds the entire structure together. This is arch step 3, which I put in my margin. You know, I came into program believing that I was the solution, that I could handle everything, and I was really making a serious mess of not only my food and my eating, but my entire life. And so coming to believe that there was a power greater than myself that could not only restore me to sanity with the food, but that could really help me manage the rest, all of my life. That was that cornerstone, like, okay, I don't know everything. I don't know what's best. I am not the director. I've got to turn that directorship over to God. And that's what that cornerstone means or that keystone means for me. I'll pass.
Okay, I'd like to expand on that a little bit.
Please.
The keystone here is, it says this concept was the keystone. And what was the concept? The concept was that we had to quit playing God. It doesn't say you have to quit playing God right now. It says the concept, the idea that we need to quit playing God, that's the concept. That's your step 3. It's just making a decision. Step 3 is nothing more than a decision. It's kind of like that 3 frogs on a log analogy. There were 3 frogs on a log and one decided to jump. So how many were left? No, there wasn't 2. There were still 3 because he just decided to jump. He didn't jump. I didn't say he jumped. He just decided to jump. So I'm going to decide at this moment that I know that I have to quit playing God. So that concept was my keystone. Just knowing that that was something, that was where I was headed. That is what was going to hold everything up for me. And I'll go on to the next one, 62. Oh, this is just, oh no, we just did 62. 63. Oh, it's just another reference to another building reference right in the middle of the beginning of the 3rd step prayer. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thy wilt. It's like, there we go. It's like we're building here. We're building. You know, it's like, I need to do this with a power greater than myself because, you know, like it might have been said yesterday at the other Step It Up thing. It's like, you can't fix a broken brain with a broken brain, you know? So it's like, I'm really screwed. I can't do this myself. I need something outside of myself. So it's like, God, here I am, build with me. Help me build this arch so that I can walk on that path to freedom. Okay.
Okay, the next one is 75, and this is the middle of the last paragraph on 75. It says, for we are building an arch through which we shall walk a free man at last. And this is arch step 5. So in step 4 is where I learn where I have been playing God. So step 3, I made a decision that I was going to like turn my will and my life over, right? Like the concept that I would do that. I love that Lulu pointed that out. It's just accepting that concept. But I didn't know at that point that how I was playing God. And that's what step 4 showed me, where I was playing God. And then step 5 shows me how I can turn that over and let God be the director. So again, it's that arch step 5 is where part of that building where we are going to walk through a free man or woman at last.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. We're building an arch through which we shall walk a free man. There it is. It was just somebody took all of this, picked all of these little sentences out of the big book and created this visual. And it's just, I find it extremely valuable. I always have sit down and take every sponsee before we even start studying the book. I take them through this arch. So I just thought it would be an amazing thing to have it on a recording. The last one is on page 97. If you turn to page 97, this is the chapter in working with others. This is step 12, which we see in this diagram that it happens to be part of the foundation too. And I can see why, because it says right here on the top of page 97, never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you're doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. There you have it in black and white. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. I don't want my foundation to get a crack. I don't want it. So I have to remember who I am and where I come from. What really helps me with that is helping others. I just watch everybody who's exactly where I was, and I don't forget. I never forget where I came from. I can't forget that. I don't regret it. I don't want to push it out. I remember my active addiction, and I remember the despair. I remember the hope, just feeling extremely hopeless. I remember considering OA. I remember balking at half of it. I wanted to just do half measures. I just wanted to do half of it. Let me just do the food plan and like the heck with this arch crap, you know, until I wasn't getting the results I wanted. It was like I wanted to walk on the path of freedom. I wanted more than just being thin. And that's what I got. Any final thoughts, Miss?
I was just going to say about step 12, what a gift it is. Like you were saying that it just really solidifies what I know, and I never forget. Every time I help somebody with a food plan, every time I go through the doctor's opinion with someone, every time I take them through the steps, it helps me to work mine better and strengthens that foundation. Step 12 is just such a gift, and I love this visual here. So yes. Thanks, Lulu.
There was one other thing I wanted to say. Somebody said this once and I loved it. And it's like, you know, people are like, oh, you know, you're so inspiring and like, I want what you have, but you like, you know, you got, I don't know why I'm just so depressed and I'm so, I don't know. It's like, you haven't done the work yet. Like, you know, you don't get to have this big, there's no free ride. There's no free ride here. Like, I've done all this work and I work my like my life depends on it. I work like my pants are on fire, like on a daily basis with my 10, 11, and 12 for 6 years. And like, I've worked for this, to be on this green path to freedom. I've worked for this. It's like, you got to work for it too. Somebody said, you know, when people are having issues in program where they're not getting to that peace and freedom because they're not doing the work. Somebody said this once, oh, we're so sorry to hear that you are disappointed with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. It's like, yep. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but like, you know, why don't you just try doing it, you know?
Right, so, right. Or hearing like, I already worked the steps. Well, no, it's actually 10, 11, 12 are a continual thing. It's rinse, repeat. Yes. I've always got to be working the steps.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And if you have any questions about this arch, you have the contact for both Shalece and I. Feel free to reach out if you need any clarity, if you have any questions about it, anything.
Yep. And I will just add that you can visit 12, the number 12, Step It Up @blogspot.com for more information, more resources.